So what happens when a country's military can't go toe-to-toe with its adversaries? Where do they go to level the playing field? Well, for Iran, the answer, more and more, is cyberspace. Today, we're going to break down exactly how Iran uses cyber operations as a strategic weapon. We'll look at the key players, their tactics, and what it takes to build a real defense against them, all based on open-source intelligence. Let's dive in.
So here's our roadmap. First, we'll get into the why behind it all, Iran's core cyber doctrine. Then we're going to meet the main characters, the big one, a saboteur called Refined Kitten, and then its partners in crime who specialize in spying and creating chaos. We'll look at their game plan for a crisis, and then, most importantly, we'll wrap up with a defensive playbook you can actually use.
Okay, so first things first, why has Iran put so much time and energy into its cyber forces? It's pretty straightforward, really. Their conventional army, navy, and air force are just outmatched by adversaries like the United States. But cyberspace, that's a whole different kind of battlefield. It's a place where they can hit back and impose real costs, without necessarily starting an all-out shooting war.
And that brings us to this core idea, asymmetric strategy. This isn't about sinking battleships or winning dogfights. It's about causing economic pain, disrupting daily life, and creating widespread fear. The whole goal is to inflict damage and gain influence in ways they just can't with traditional military power, all while trying to keep things just below the boiling point of a real war.
And make no mistake, this is not just random hacking. It follows a very specific playbook with very clear rules, which you can see right here. They don't go from 0 to 100. They start small and ramp up. They always try to keep things just fuzzy enough to avoid a massive response. They use these hacktivist fronts so they can say, hey, it wasn't us. And this is the really critical part. Creating public fear isn't just a side effect, it's a primary mission. They'll even time their attacks to coincide with other world events to make everything feel way more chaotic.
All right, now let's meet the most dangerous player in Iran's entire arsenal, a group tracked as Refined Kitten. Their job is simple and, frankly, terrifying: strategic sabotage. They are tasked with breaking into critical infrastructure, not just to snoop around, but to get into a position where they can flip a switch and cause actual, physical damage in the real world.
So how do they do it? Well, they have this signature move that analysts call the cloud-to-OT pivot. Think about it like this. Trying to break down the reinforced door of a power plant is hard. So instead, they steal an office worker's keycard, their Microsoft 365 password, and just walk in through the front door. Then, once they're inside the corporate network, they can find the unlocked door that leads right to the factory floor, the sensitive operational controls.
And this slide just lays out their four-step process perfectly. First, it starts with something called password spraying, just hammering cloud accounts with automated login attempts on a massive scale. Once they get a password that works, they're in. They use legitimate IT tools to move around and look like a normal user. Then comes that pivot we talked about, from the IT side to the OT side. And that final step, that's when they deploy malware called Shapeshift, which is designed to do just one thing: permanently wipe data and break systems.
Now, for anyone out there on the defensive side, this right here, this is the smoke signal. The report is crystal clear on this. When your system starts screaming about impossible travel alerts, someone logs in from Texas and then 2 minutes later from Tehran, that is not a glitch. That is a massive flashing red light that this group, also known as Peach Sandstorm, is already inside your house.
But here's the thing. It's not just about sabotage. Iran's strategy is way more complex than that. They have different groups that play very different roles. So let's take a look at these other players to get the full picture, covering everything from espionage to infiltration and full-blown psychological operations.
This slide is a great little snapshot, kind of like a rogues gallery. You've got Refined Kitten as the saboteur. Then there's Charming Kitten, who is the spy, the one who patiently builds trust. You have Static Kitten, the infiltrator, who burrows deep into supply chains. And finally, you have Banished Kitten, the chaos agent, whose entire job is just to make noise and spread panic.
This quote about Charming Kitten, it's just fascinating. It really gets to the heart of their technique. They don't just blast out a million random phishing emails. Nope, they might spend weeks or even months building a totally fake online friendship with you. They might pose as a journalist or a researcher. So when they finally send you that malicious link, it's not coming from a stranger, it's coming from someone you think you know.
And then you have Banished Kitten's whole thing, which analysts call ransomware's theater. It's kind of brilliant in a terrifying way. They'll hit a company, and it looks exactly like ransomware. Files are locked, there's a ransom note. But here's the twist. There's no way to get your data back. It's already been destroyed, because the real goal was never the money. The real goal was the public announcement they blast out on Telegram moments later, designed to create maximum chaos and fear.
Okay, so we've met the different teams, right? The saboteur, the spy, the chaos agent. The really crucial question is, how do they all work together? Because during a real geopolitical crisis, you better believe these separate operations would all snap together into one big, coordinated campaign.
And this timeline shows you how that would probably go down. Phase 1, which for all we know is happening right now, is all about the quiet prep work. Scanning for weaknesses, getting a foothold. Then, when a conflict actually starts, bam, Phase 2 kicks in. Refined Kitten starts breaking things, and Banished Kitten starts yelling about it online. If the conflict drags on, they all start hitting you at once from every direction. And even after things calm down, the spies and infiltrators, they stick around, quietly gathering intelligence for the next time.
All right, so after all of that, you're probably asking, how in the world do you defend against this? That's what this last section is all about. We're going to lay out a practical, no-nonsense playbook to directly counter the tactics we've been talking about.
Okay, to stop the saboteur refined kitten, it all comes down to locking down your digital identities. That means you have got to get rid of old, insecure ways of logging in. You need to enforce strong, phishing-resistant, multi-factor authentication everywhere, no exceptions. Clean out all those old, forgotten accounts that are just sitting there waiting to be hacked. And you absolutely have to build a digital wall between your corporate IT network and your sensitive OT systems to break that cloud-to-OT pivot.
Now, when you're up against the spy and the infiltrator, a good firewall isn't going to be enough. This comes down to people. With AI making fake profiles more believable than ever, the new default has to be skepticism. If you get a new professional contact out of the blue, you have to verify them through another channel, like an old-fashioned phone call to a number you know is real. And treat every single connection from a third-party vendor like a potential open door for an attacker.
And finally, how do you fight the chaos agent? This is less about technology and more about winning the information war. It means someone on your team needs to be monitoring their Telegram channels so you can get an early warning. It means having statements pre-written for every scenario, a real breach, a fake one, an unconfirmed one, so you're not scrambling. The whole game is to control the narrative and not let some public claim, even a completely false one, spin you into a crisis.
So this all brings us to one final and honestly pretty sobering question. When you look at all this, you see that the quiet work, the scanning, the password stealing, the planting of backdoors, it all happens long before a single shot is fired. For these cyber operators, the time that we might call peacetime is really just the active, ongoing prep phase for the next conflict. Which forces us to ask a really tough question. In this new digital world, does true peace even exist anymore?